the mystery over Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary for the United States of America. Well, this one just finally got solved. They didn't even tell anybody. They didn't tell us. They certainly didn't even tell the president. They didn't tell the Secretary of State that he was in the hospital for some complications resulting from surgery. He, unfortunately for him, I understand he wanted to keep this tight and he wanted to keep it quiet, but that's not really how it works. Not when you're the Secretary of Defense for the United States of America, okay? Thank you, Secretary Austin. So unfortunately, he has prostate cancer. And so he had gone into the hospital for treatment of that and then had to go back. Had to go back because he had an infection. It was a urinary tract infection that was decently serious. And so he didn't want to share any of this information. But gosh darn it, like chain of command, like you're in the military. Like, how does that happen? Like, doesn't anybody get to know? Anybody at all? I mean, his deputy, Kathleen Hicks, she didn't even know for some 3 days. The White House didn't know. So everybody's like, how does this happen? You saw that we just threw this up. New York Post had a great op-ed. The most obvious question in the world, right? How do you not know? Oops, wrong one. I think that's Epstein, but there we go. How could President Biden not notice his defense secretary was missing, especially just as a Hamas fighter was taken down by Israel, just as this conflict continues to erupt? I mean, come on. And yet, the White House says they continue to support him, Secretary Austin, even though everybody's like, wait a second, like, isn't this kind of a fireable offense? You go AWOL, you don't tell anyone, you don't even tell the Secretary of State, you don't tell the president, you don't even tell your deputy. But no, Joe Biden's fine with it. Nothing to see here. Let's listen to that crackerjack press person, KJP, who said, you know what, we're here to support him.
Should the American people have confidence in Austin given his lack of transparency? And then also, do the American people need to be concerned about a lack of transparency for the president given this lapse?
So I want to go back to Austin's statement a couple of days ago where he has taken responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important. So I would point you to that. And I will just reiterate that the president has complete confidence, continues to have confidence in Secretary Austin. And as the Admiral just stated, I think the number one thing right now is for him, we want to see him back at the Pentagon, get well and back at the Pentagon. And I'll just add one more thing, is that the president, as we have shared, the president spoke to Austin, Secretary Austin on Saturday. They had a very good conversation. And again, you know, the president appreciate Austin's statement and taking full responsibility here. And I think that's what matters, is him getting back to the Pentagon and taking full responsibility.
He took responsibility. I mean, after the fact, after everybody's like, wait a second, we've been without a defense secretary for the last 4 days. Now he's going to take responsibility for it. And you're okay with that? I mean, let me just say, you know what? Barack Obama wouldn't allow that. Michelle Obama wouldn't allow that. Bill Clinton wouldn't allow that. No one would allow that. I can guarantee you that would never happen with Trump. I mean, Trump might say, hey, you know, like if Austin took him aside and said, listen, I'm going to be out. Can we kind of keep it quiet? He might have said, okay, let's try and keep it quiet, but he's not going to not know where his defense secretary is. Like, how does that happen? I don't get it. Like, do people not matter? Does your defense secretary not matter? I mean, can your Secretary of State just take off for a week and nobody notices that either? I'm blown away by this. I'm really, and you know what? My heart goes out to Secretary Austin. I'm sorry for him. I really am. And I understand it sucks, right? Like, you want to have a private life and you can't have a private life because you're the Secretary of Defense for the United States of America. That is what you gave up when you signed on to the gig. Sorry, that's just the way it works. Okay? So you ought to know that, right? You've spent your life in the military. You can't go MIA. You can't go AWOL. You have to tell your superiors where you are and what's going on. But Biden's clearly a very bad manager.